G'day folks, Derek Leung here at Car Christian Counselling. Welcome to this new Stay Well, Stay Strong series of video aimed at helping you through this COVID period and beyond. I hope you're doing okay so far in negotiating our challenges with the virus. Today, I would like to set the foundation for all the other videos that I'll be doing to help you through this COVID period. And since my aim is to help you build your own well-being holistically, we need to have a way to conceptualize what overall well-being actually looks like. I'm going to talk about protective foundations versus stressors model and the biopsychosocial spiritual model of self. I'm going to explain these two ideas and combine them together. And from there, you can apply these two ideas in everything that you do in order to stay well and stay strong. So let's get started. Concept number one, protective factors versus stressors model. No doubt you would have heard the old adage, the straw that breaks the camel's back. This model of protective factors or protective foundations versus stressors model fit this old saying to a T. To illustrate, just the other day I found my 9-year-old breaking down and crying over something that appeared to be quite trivial. And in truth, it was trivial. It was actually a minor thing that went wrong, but in the context of her world as a whole, it was the last straw that broke her. This last emotional stressors required more than what she already had in her overtaxed coping mechanism that could handle. The result was that she lost it, and thankfully, she eventually recovered. And here's what the stressor versus protective factor models looks like on paper. And this is a very simplistic look at best. And here's you. Under your feet are the things that give you strength, joy, and hope. These are the things are what we call protective factors in your life that hold you up. I call them your protective foundations. And these protectors comprise of elements from the past, the present, and the future. There could be the factors such as favorable genetic dispositions, favorable upbringing experiences in your family of origin, having strong relationship with a spouse, strong relationship with the family members, having encouraging community around you, like a church community, good physical health, having sufficient financial resources, a place to live, predictable source of income, activities that recharge you like surfing, gym, bushwalking, or whatever you do to enjoy as you wind down. Even a strong sense of hope. Others could be a strong sense of faith, a place to express your faith, your beliefs, your worldview, and your other coping strategies. Your protective factors make up the foundations on which you stand to weather the storm through life, and we'll explore some of those later on. On the opposing side are the stressors, those stress factors in your life. They are what is coming from on top, pressing you down. They too can be from the past, present, and future as well. Stressors could be unfavorable genetic dispositions, for example, dispositions to anxiety, depression, and certain ailments. Others could be adverse childhood experiences, we call ACEs, such as trauma, setbacks in the past, that unfavorably shape your template of relationships and your worldview. We'll come to some of those in later videos as well. Other stressors could include financial stresses, losing a job, health challenges, relationship difficulties. These challenges could come from multiple areas of your life. And these things cause stress and put strain on your body and your mental well-being as you attempt to cope with these things. When the protective factors outweigh the stressors, you feel like you can cope and thrive in the world. There is enough foundations for you to stand on, and you feel like you can do life. But when the stressors start to outweigh the protective factors, it starts to place more strain on your body and your mental reserve to cope. And as these stressors continue to outweigh the protective factors over a long period of time, it starts to destabilize you. They may weaken our protective factors as well and begin to have detrimental effect on your health, your relationships, and your finances. So a major goal in this series of videos is to help you build up protective factors that are under your control. Some of these protective foundations you can control and build directly. For example, your fitness, your health of relationships, your emotional regulation capacities. We can explore these and others as well. Some factors you can't alter directly, but you can indirectly influence them. However, you're not helpless. For example, just because you cannot change your given genetic code, you can influence them One major area in advancement in modern science is epigenetics, how you can influence an expression of your genetic disposition. For example, just because your family has genetic history of anxiety or depression and you're predisposed, you're not destined to hit anxiety and depression, because there are multiple ways to influence your genetic outcomes. We will eventually discuss these as well. What I'm trying to say is that you're not just a passenger in your life. There is hope. You can protect yourself and thrive despite the odds being stacked against you. In the next video, we'll look at ways to strengthen your protective factors. And so, here's concept number 2, biopsychosocial spiritual model of you. And there's one way of seeing your being as a whole. Biopsychosocial and spiritual model. They are the 4 core concepts components that make up who you are. They conceptualize the interconnectedness of these facets of our being. This model helps us to examine and address in a systematic way of the various components that make up who you are. All these strategies that you might come up with need to address these 4 self-components in order for you to be well as a whole person. And here are what each of these components mean. Psycho refers to the emotional and our mental functioning. They include our coping skills, our beliefs, worldview, expectations, and how relationships work, our sense of attachment, our personality, and many others. Social refers to the relationship, close and remote, personal and impersonal. For example, relationship with our spouse, our children, our family, our perception of our place in society, work relationships, study relationships, cultural connections, cultural pressures, social support, and so on. Bio refers to the well-being of our physical being, our genetics, our sense, our neurochemistry, pre-existing physical conditions, and even our fight, flight, freeze response, and many others as well. Spiritual refers to the non-tangible aspects. For example, as a Christian, as my faith, the aspects that connects me to the supernatural. These 4 core self-components make up what we are, the bio, psycho, spiritual, and social. And tying both models together, all the strategies that we might come up with to cope with the stressful time and adversities in general need to cover all these bases in order for you to be well as a whole person. For example, you need to come up with strategies that address our physical well-being, our mental well-being, our relationships, and our spiritual needs. Our strategies need to address holistically all 4 core self-components in order to strengthen the foundation that we stand on in life. The foundation we saw previously as protective factors versus stressor modern life. There are many things that we can do on our own to build up your protective foundations. Some you can do on your own, some you need to build with others in your life, and the process becomes a mutual, beneficial, interdependent process. Some you need to call on some extra help, like a counsellor like myself. A counsellor has training to see things that you cannot see or don't want to see, and will lead you in strategies that you may not know about. Sometimes you just need someone external to walk with you. Counseling can help you travel back in time to redo your experiences and reshape how you see life, yourself, and others. Counseling can transform your stressors into protective foundations, and we'll perhaps explore how this process can happen in future videos. And throughout this series, I'm going to be progressively exploring the issues and different ways to look at how each of these core self-components and how they can strengthen your protective foundations. I hope this has helped, and stay tuned as we continue in this series to explore more closely how you can stay well and stay strong through this challenging time. I've also produced for you worksheets to help you identify your foundations and stressors. These worksheets will help you through the process step by step to identify what are the gaps that you can address, the foundations that you can strengthen, the stressors that you can mitigate in order to fortify your well-being through this COVID period and beyond. The worksheets are on my website in the exclusive content section, so go there and check it out. And if you like what you've seen today, please subscribe and share. So stay well, stay strong, hang on to hope, always. I'll see you soon in the next video in this series.